I said the concept of triple constraints. What do we mean when we say triple constraints? Triple constraints are three things. Triple constraints are three things that are related such that when one of them is impacted, the remaining will also stagger. Yes, that's the way I explain it. When one of them is impacted, the remaining will also stagger. For example, you're on a project. You have agreed on all what you need and all what you need to get done. And then the customer calls you, Baba confirm, how are you? Fine. There's one small issue. My sister's nephew's uncle's younger brother is coming back from the US. He's coming back from the US shortly. I need that building to finish 3 weeks earlier than we planned. Oga, how can it work? 3 weeks, care. It's serious. It will affect different things. Abi, that's that implication. Because if you want the project to finish earlier, what it means is that you are changing your schedule. What can happen? It means automatically cost will be impacted. Because if you want to compress the schedule and you want your scope to remain the same, definitely it means you have to increase the cost. Do we agree? If you want to compress your schedule, that is, you want to finish the project faster, and you want the same scope of work to be accomplished, definitely it means you have to spend more. Spend more to get more resources. To maybe you can now ask them, okay, contractors, start working at night. The owner of the project wants us to finish on time. So that is if it is schedule that is affected. The same thing can happen to cost. If he calls you now and say, I know we have said the project will cost 5 million. Unfortunately, I was expecting money from somewhere. I cannot afford more than 4.1 million now. Okay. The agreed amount cost for the project is changing. So what will happen to the other constraints? Okay. Oga, you have reduced the money. Do you agree that we should reduce reduce the scope of the work? You understand? Do you agree that we should reduce the scope of the work? Or in some other kinds of projects, you can still agree to do the same scope, but you will say, sorry, we can no longer give you priority service. On compassionate ground, we still proceed with the project, but we'll be doing it at our own pace. That is, the agreed schedule can no longer work. So that is what is meant by the triple constraints. On a project, except something points to the fact that one constraint is more important than the other, assumed that all the constraints are equally important. Let me put that again. Except something particularly points at the fact that a constraint is more important. You see, on the field, when you discuss with clients, you meet some clients that will tell you, this is what I want. I need you to finish on time. Money is not the problem. What does that tell you? That tells you that you have a client who is ready to increase the costs to achieve some more effectiveness with your schedule, or maybe some more effectiveness with your scope. So, in some cases, some clients will tell you, schedule is my red line. On no account should you tell me that house will not be finished in 2 months' time. Hey, what does that mean? That tells you that, okay, schedule is the sacred one. You can play, you might be able to play around with some others. In some other cases, it's the scope that is the most important thing. That do whatever you want, just make sure you finish my job. So, as a project manager, don't forget that part of the competencies, cultural awareness, political awareness, leadership, all of those things, you need to be sound. You need to read your clients to know which constraint is there to him. Anyway, now that's old school. All that I've said before now, old school. Then sometime after the old school people left, some other people now came and said, your triple constraint theory is not correct. It's not complete. Why did they say it's not complete? They said, no, quality is there. It is possible for you to reduce the cost of a project without reducing the time. But it is possible. We say, why? Say, yes, it's possible. You can still achieve it, but quality will suffer. We say, okay, makes sense. So if that is correct, then it means that quality has now been admitted as another constraint. To say now we have 4 constraints. Initially it was 3. Then it became 4. They added quality. With the argument that sometimes you might be able to reduce from the triple constraints successfully. You understand? But none of those 3 will suffer. Something else will suffer, which is quality of the job. But still, some other people now came again later and said, even with quality, it is still not complete. It is still not complete. They now added 2 more constraints to say risk is there. It's also a constraint on the project. Resources is there. Even though resource and cost, they are being related, but the resources in this case now, maybe human resource, maybe material resource, financial resource, and all of that. But financial resource is under budget. All the other non-financial resources, let's put it that way. So they are now saying that it's possible for you to alter a constraint on the project, and then your scope wants to remain the same, and then your budget wants to remain the same, and then they are also now still insisting that quality should remain the same. Okay, how do you now progress? In that case, your risk, something will have happened to your risk. Definitely, tons of extra risk will have been introduced to the project. So, what I've just explained to you now, I call it the evolution of the triple constraints. It started from 3 to 4 to 6.